Hi folks, I'm Paul Yates. I am chair of the AIRE Centre board, and I'm joined today by Isabel Escobar, who was working at the AIRE Centre as a legal caseworker in 2017. So Isabel, welcome. Thank you very much for letting us have this conversation with you.
Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. Can I start by asking you what originally attracted you to a career in the law?
Well, thank you for that question. And that was many years ago. I wanted to do some sort of deep work on stories. And I used to be the director of the newspaper at my school. So I thought maybe if I was a journalist, maybe that was the path I should follow. But I was always very involved with justice and vulnerable people, and I'm from Colombia, and I've seen lots of injustice. So because I was always involved with that, and the stories that I was always interested in were about justice, I thought, well, if I do law, I could be a journalist and I could also be a lawyer, and I would have more options. And so it was more the combination about the cases and the stories with wanted some justice and witnessing a lot of injustice in my context.
So is that what brought you from Colombia to the UK, or were you here already?
No, I came to the UK 10 years ago only, but I graduated in Colombia from law school in 2005, so many years ago.
Brilliant. And do you remember how you first came across the AIRE Centre?
Yes, I was doing a human rights master at Queen Mary University, and we had the internships opportunities meeting, and that was the first time I came across the AIRE Centre. And because at the time I was only getting into knowing law in the UK. I'm sure if I had been into human rights before, I would have come across with the AIRE Centre before, but that was the first time that I came across with the AIRE Centre. And then I really liked. I was really interested in immigration. That was the paths I chose for my master. Immigration and EU law was something that I was really interested in as well. And I applied for the internship. I was very lucky to get it.
And if you think back to your time when you were working at the AIRE Centre, is there a particular case or project that you were involved in that kind of really stands out to you now?
Well, I was very lucky to get my hands into many things: training, legal research, and casework. But there's one case specifically, and Markela, my supervisor, would remember. That was Mr. M, and he was a victim of human trafficking, and he was applying for benefits, and it was a very complex case because he had been off work for a while, and he was struggling to demonstrate that he was going to go back to work, so he wasn't being given the job seekers allowance, and that's it. It was a very complicated case. And I was able to kind of see it almost through the end, and that was I would say that experience was my experience at the AIRE Centre in general, but that specific case gave me all the insight for where my career is at the moment. I'm a caseworker at the moment at a legal aid law firm, and I work, but I don't work exclusively with victims of human trafficking, but that's part of it. I do work with migrants and victims of human trafficking. So in that case, I was able to be involved with almost everything: gathering evidence, drafting advice, briefing counsel, getting counsel, going to preparing bundles for hearings, going to the hearing, being in contact with the client, and being really involved in the case. Almost to the end, we finally went to an appeal, and I was told that we won happily for Mr. M. And that was amazing, because I was able to see through and get to understand many details in law that were not. I was going to need maybe years of experience as a paralegal, but in my experience at the AIRE Centre, I was able to get that all condensed there, and that helped me to get my next job and where I am at the moment.
That's fascinating. So your current job, you're a caseworker at Hanson Palomores, right? Which is a kind of Spanish, Portuguese, Latin legal aid firm.
That's correct.
So can you tell us what your sort of typical day looks like now in your current role?
Yes. Well, I'm on maternity leave now. I've got a 2-month-old baby, but my real life as a paralegal and caseworker at Hanson Palomares is I work mainly on community care and housing cases with a lot of Spanish-speaking clients. Many of them have dual nationality. They are EU nationals as well. So there's a lot of that there. And we have, but we're open for every sort of client. So my normal day would be preparing judicial reviews to review decisions of local authorities about the social care of adults or children that are disabled. So most of our clients are disabled children or disabled adults that are under the care of social authorities, or have the right to get care from the local authorities, but they don't have it. So, or they don't have the right level of care, so that's what we do. So what I would do in my day is basically gathering evidence, liaising with counsel for hearings, preparing bundles for applications for judicial review, preparing for hearings, as I said already, drafting witness statements, which was something that I was also able to do at the AIRE Centre in this specific case, and advancing, being in touch with the client, interviewing clients, interviewing witnesses, and so basically all the casework to get a judicial review. And many of these cases get solved at very early stages, because and normally with the merits have to be really good for a legal aid case, because we really have to justify that. And so that's my day.
That's great. And I mean, obviously I can see there's such a strong connection between what you were doing at the AIRE Centre and what you're doing now. Do you find that you get the sort of sense of people's stories that you set out to kind of be involved in at the beginning when you were sort of thinking journalism law?
That's a great question. Yes, absolutely. I do care about connecting with people. And with their stories is having an autistic child that doesn't have, and a mother that have another 4 children to care for, an autistic child that has a very high level of needs and has no support whatsoever, and getting to understand why she needs that support, getting that message across to the local authority for them to give this lady what she needs for the other 4 children to thrive and the autistic children to thrive. It's all about the story that's behind it, and telling it to the local authority and getting them to give them what they need. And so I do get that. I do that connection I was looking for with human beings, and also very difficult stories that I care about, and then passing the message onto the people that work for one side, and getting the message across to get someone's rights recognized. Yes.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you. I think just one last question, which is whether you have any sort of top tips for the current interns who are at the AIRE Centre at the moment, kind of at the start of their career?
Right. My God. So make the most of every opportunity you have at the AIRE Centre, and use the support of the supervisor and all on the colleagues. I met really, really interesting and lovely people at the AIRE Centre, and I didn't only get the support from Matthew, Onula, and Markela, who was my supervisor, but also from my colleagues. And it was a very supportive environment. And I remember being so happy every day going to the AIRE Centre, knowing that every day was going to teach me something new. And the people, and something that I realized that was that you do care about the recruiting process. And from the interview, I noticed there's a personality in the AIRE Centre. You do pick interesting questions, and it wasn't a normal interview. I was challenged at the interview, and I realized I got to meet really interesting, very different people, very young people, mature students like me, and I struggled to find a job before because I had a CV that looked like, oh, but she has this experience in Colombia, and then she's been here. And she just started a master's degree. And the AIRE Centre thought, well, this is interesting. And it reflects in the type of people I met. And also, so the AIRE Centre it's a small organization with big ambitions. So when you get your hands on any project, even if it's only a case of a victim of human trafficking or strategic litigation, in the Human Rights Court, just take the opportunity of spending as much time as possible in a project if you can see it for as much as possible. I know it's a short-term placement, but taking the opportunity of getting your hands into as many things as possible will give you the possibility to see which of these things you like more, you're better at, and which one are you gonna keep using for your next step in your career. And for me, it was casework, and of course the rest of the things. But for many others would be strategic litigation, or even academic work. And you do have all that range of possibilities at the AIRE Centre, and I did have it as well.
Amazing, so nice to hear. Well, Isabel, thank you so much for your time. It's great to meet you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.